and thank you everyone for attending. So if you can go to the next slide. I will also ask you some questions, as Pauline did, and the first one, as we will talk about key issues, what are, according to you, the key issues during transport regarding animal protection? What about duration, density, temperature, so heat stress, cold stress, distances, and also regarding fractures, stress. So we will talk about these topics. So you have a good overview of the key issues. So we'll mainly talk during the presentation on available space, talking density. Also, we'll talk about hunger and thirst. And we will also talk about temperature, so heat stress and also cold stress, and on the duration. So your ideas will be discussed today.
Okay, so I continue.
So next slide, a bit of context for those who are not aware. So transport of live birds is regulated in Europe since 2005. And this regulation aims at harmonizing transport practices among European countries, but is perceived by some stakeholders as inadequate or insufficient. And following European, you can click, yes, thank you. Following European Commission recent engagements, a new regulatory proposal was made in December 2023 and is still under negotiation between member states. You can go next slide. So we can wonder why is it so important to regulate transport of live birds, because the aim of the farmers, the catching teams, and the drivers is to minimize stress and lack of comfort during transport. However, the transport causes stress for broilers because it involves different noises, temperatures, light, so a totally new environment for the birds. Also quick handling and catching, and finally a restraint in containers during the transport. So next slide, please. So in order to minimize stress and or discomfort during transport, it is important to monitor birds during the transport. However, stakeholders face some difficulties because broiler flocks are very large flocks. There are a lack of visibility in the containers. It's difficult to see all the birds. Lots of noise also, and a limited scope for action. It's better to anticipate. So current animal-based measures, so-called ABM, are anyway routinely collected to ensure that everything was okay. Such as DOA, so dead on arrival. It mainly reflects hot and cold stress or unfitness for transport. Also injuries, bruises, or body parts entrapped between or inside containers. However, EFSA advises to consider more animal-based measures, and other than mortality, that really reflects the worst possible welfare state for a bird, such as posture, distress calls, denting, huddling, fluffing up of feathers, of shivering. And we were wondering what animal-based measures are routinely collected in your country to monitor broiler protection during and or after transport. So this is a new question, an open one that you can answer with the QR code.
Okay.
And in addition to these animal-based measures, Please note that weather forecasts are also always taken into account to adjust densities in the containers, traveling hours, the use of curtains, and that environmental conditions, so for instance temperatures, as it was written in the mentimeter, are also sometimes monitored in the containers, and that very few recent vehicles are equipped with air conditioning systems. So not in France, but yes, it's possible. So you can. So I will now introduce and describe 4 key issues associated with transport of live birds. And first, we will talk about transport duration. So literature review informs us that dead on arrival increases as transport time increases, as illustrated with a figure. So you can click twice, I think. And one, yeah. And for example, we observed plus 19% of dead on arrival from a situation without any transport to a situation with a more than 4-hour transport. And in addition, DOA also increases as transport distance increases. So as a conclusion, longer transport duration, so time distance, increases mortality as it worsens the potential thermal stress, hunger, thirst, or discomfort for the birds. And regarding regulation, so currently there is no maximum total duration for the transport of adult birds, but it is required to water birds after 12 hours of transport. And as trucks are not usually equipped with drinkers, the total duration is mainly less than 12 hours. And moreover, drivers must also comply with national regulation on maximum driving time. So it's important to have it in mind. And the new regulation proposal gives a new definition of transport duration that now includes uploading plus downloading of the birds in addition to the journey, which raises many questions from stakeholders. And the new proposal also includes a maximum transport duration of 12 hours for adult birds. Next, another key issues we will discuss is regarding feeding and watering of birds. So hunger and thirst are basic needs that must be fulfilled in all welfare definitions. But during transport, birds encounter feed and water deprivation for different durations. So first, we will focus on hunger. So for hygiene and economic reasons, the optimal total feed restriction withdrawal is between 8 and 12 hours prior to slaughter. Less than 8 hours may result in fecal residues in the digestive tract. And if the feed withdrawal is too late, then it will increase the metabolism of the birds and heat production, and it could worsen the heat stress for the birds during summer, for instance. And after 12 hours of feed withdrawal, birds may experience intestinal suffering that is detrimental to their welfare. And also, please note that fast-growing broilers might experience hungry feeling very quickly after feed restriction, as they have a very high metabolism. And for the hunger part, the data would support the limitation of the fastening duration to 12 hours max. And regarding thirst, current available knowledge and thirst assessment methods are not sufficient to draw any definite conclusions, but water restrictions longer than 6 hours are likely associated with dehydration, but with a high variability between individuals, so it's not very clear. So it's difficult to conclude, and we clearly lack data to conclude on the maximum duration of water deprivation regarding thirst. You can go to the next slide. So currently, broilers are not fastened for more than 12 hours and not less than 4 hours prior to the transport. And water is available until the start of the catching, and they must be watered if journey is more than 12 hours. And in the new proposal, it is written that feed and water must be available during the transport, but it's not very clear if it concerns poultry because, as we discussed just before, it doesn't seem relevant for poultry to feed them until the beginning of the slaughter. And regarding water, even if it seems relevant from a welfare point of view to water the birds during the transport, it would require new trucks with drinkers, which could be very expensive, heavier trucks, so lots of issues for the transporters. Then another issue that is discussed concerns the available space, so stocking density and height of the containers. So different authors assess the impact of different densities in the containers on injuries and bruises. You have some figures here. And they observed more injuries and bruises at lower stocking densities, probably because birds have more space to move and are more prone to fall. And they also observed that the provision of more space during transport was sometimes associated with a reduced mortality, but only during summer, probably because it helps to reduce heat stress. Regarding height of the containers, literature indicates that a height from 23 to 46 centimeters enables more natural postures for the birds, but also more scratches, probably because birds have the possibility to walk on each other. So as a conclusion, additional space does provide more comfort to the birds, but unfortunately does not seem to be as beneficial as expected, as it leads to more injuries, except during hot summer. So regarding the available space, so density, you have here the current regulation with the available space in square centimeter per bird. And we have a question for you again. So in your opinion, compared to the current regulation, how much additional space is required by the new proposal? So in a percentage, so plus 10%, plus 60%. So you have some proposals in the mentimeter, and you have to select what seems the good answer to you. So the correct answer was plus 60% available space. So you have here the figures. I won't read everything, but yes, the new proposal would induce plus 60% available space than the current one, which could lead, regarding what we discussed before regarding literature, to more injuries. So yes, that's what is discussed. And regarding height of the crates, currently there is nothing in the regulation. And in the new proposal, it's written that broilers must be able to change posture without being disturbed by the height of the container, but there are no more details so there are no figures. And just to give you an example of the current height in France, used in France for different broiler live weight, and the EFSA recommendations, so that are aligned with what is currently practiced in France. And we were wondering, so in France, it wouldn't be a problem if the recommendation of the EFSA panel was applied in the regulation, but would it be a problem for you in your country? Because maybe you have lower high of containers. So this is the question we ask you. Discuss these results later.
Next key issue.
Yes, the final one, I will briefly discuss temperatures. With the next slide. Thanks. So birds are sensitive to cold and heat stress, and below or above the temperature, humidity, neutral values, and depending on airspeed, localization on the truck, birds may experience cold stress, so discomfort, they will dip into their reserves, or heat stress, so it's compulsory for them to dissipate heat, but it's not always possible depending on temperature, humidity, so it may lead to mortality. So this specific topic of heat stress will be discussed more in detail in the next presentation, so I won't give you more detail. And currently, birds must be protected against bad weather, extreme temperature, and adverse weather conditions. And for instance, in France, it is also forbidden to transport live animals from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. during heat waves. And long duration transports are authorized if inside temperatures are less than 30 degrees. You can, and we have, so here I have a last question for you. So what are the best practices maybe in your countries for transporting poultry in hot weather? Are there specific practices such as, I don't know, reducing densities or? So it's an open question. You can answer if you have some info to share with us.
It's interesting to also have a meeting with different countries.
Yeah.
So nice to have info on which practices is done in your different countries. This answer will be interesting also for the next presentation of Jan. Density mainly.
Yeah, maybe reduce density or change the transport hours. So mainly during the night when temperatures are lower. Use the curtains also. Or ventilators.
Control temperature.
Yeah, okay. Limited waiting time too, okay. Thanks, so please feel free, yes, just after during the question session to give more detail on this topic and what is done in your country. And just yes, to let you know that in the new proposal, it is written that curtains must be used when temperatures is less than 10 degrees. And they also want to limit transport duration under high temperature or to perform only night transport, but with no more details for now. So to conclude, transport duration has a real impact on birds' welfare, but thresholds are not yet clearly defined. Scientific data supports the limitation of the fastening duration to 12-hour max, but there are lots of uncertainties regarding water deprivation. Additional space provides more comfort to the birds, but also leads to more injuries, except during summer. And we have many uncertainties also regarding the future regulation. Everything is not clear right now. So it raises many questions from stakeholders regarding also feasibility and high associated costs. So lots of discussion still must be done between member states to agree on a final version that would be feasible and aligned to really improve bird welfare.